So I appreciate everyone here. We have a meeting of the certified PPC. The first order of business is we need to, at a minimum, make sure that we have a secretary so that we can have officers who can sign the minutes. The floor is open for nominations for secretary.
I nominate Kyla Hudson to be
Kyla
secretary.
did it before. Kyla should be great at that. I second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Ms. Hudson to serve as secretary. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
You'll be so good at it. I'm sure.
Okay, the first item you have on your agenda is the parental leave policy. This is on the, I think, page 3. This policy brings us in line with the new rules that have finally been published. There was some, I don't know, the way the law read, the law said the school district. I was hopeful, that we were going to be able to look at it as a public school district. The advice that we got at the time was don't count on that, but it looks like that once the rules have been written, that's exactly what they did. So you'll see there, I've got in red the changes that basically an individual who would qualify for parental leave is an individual who is employed by a public school district. That does mean that if someone were to go from one school district to another, as long as that person worked a full year in the previous school district, they would be covered by our parental leave policy. And then there was a line added that basically to ensure that the law is carried out the way it was meant to be carried out, which is that the parental employee has the ability to be paid for all their leave days. Our policy does cover both males and females, so keeping in mind that, I'm not sure it says that in here, but just as a point of clarification, if a school district employs 2 parents, a couple, the 12 weeks is split between the 2 of them. And that's federal rules, so just kind of throwing that out there. PPC does not have to approve this. If you don't approve it, it still goes into law because it's written to respond to a mandate by the legislature. So it's really up to you as a body. We'll try to answer any questions if you have them. If there are no questions, we just need a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the parental leave policy as presented. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, you have 2 items that really, they say they're action items, but it's really more of a discussion at this point. I am, recommending, if that's what you want to call it. I'd like to take a look at doing what I'm calling a retention and recruitment bonus, because I don't have another title to call it. I've got enough funds set aside that I think we can do that for a bonus to be paid at probably early December. Right now, that bonus amount is probably going to be about $1,500. Now, we're not acting on it right now because since I'm suggesting it, I have to give you 10 days to think about it. And so we would not make this decision. You wouldn't vote on this until our next meeting, which would probably be in a couple of weeks, because if we're going to do it, I'd like to get moving on it. But today would be a time for any questions, any concerns, anything you want to qualify about it, that kind of thing.
It says certified staff. Are you gonna do it for classified as well?
Yeah, we put it on classified PPC this morning.
Okay.
They did not seem to have any issues or questions with it,
Right.
so. But since you guys handle certified, that's why it says the way it
Gotcha.
does.
So per eligible employee is any employee
Right.
in the district.
Eligible employee would be anyone under contract at the time of which the bonus is given out.
Gotcha.
Will it be 2 checks or come on the December check?
It would probably be 2 checks.
Okay.
Now it may come with
Right.
what I would like to do is probably get it out like the first week or 2 in December. So before the December payroll.
Okay, so I guess I should have said separate check.
Yeah, it will be a separate check either
Okay.
way.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That would make a lot of Christmases nice.
Any other questions or concerns about that? Okay, then I will bring that back to you for a decision in the next couple of weeks. Okay. This one, I need some more. I need some input on this one. I've been toying, and I think we may have had a conversation about this last year. Have an opportunity to kind of maybe look at a pilot for program for providing incentive for attendance. So basically, for those of you, just a reminder, if you haven't heard this, we budget and then spend a little over $300,000 every year on subs. That's just what we pay as a district. It's around $10,000 a month. Really is kind of what it comes down to a lot. But it's the point is it's money that we're paying subs, which means it's money that I don't have available to me for raises, bonuses, things like that. Okay, and I've kind of been thinking for about a year on like ways that we can, if we're going to give that money out, I'd rather give that money to our contracted employees than to send it to ESS for subs. Not that that's not important. It's just we also know that the best person in front of the kiddos is the certified teacher, right? So, I mean, there's those kind of things going on. So, in thinking about what this might look like for the spring semester, okay, I've got some guiding questions to kind of facilitate the thought process. I would like some help in trying to figure out how that might look and what we want to value for the spring semester. Now, I'm going into it thinking that if it works, we would do something similar for the full 26-27 school year, but I think it would be slightly different because there are some conversations, some things that we can do at the beginning of the year that I think become harder to do in the middle of the year. So, that's kind of where this is. We had the similar conversation with classified employees on kind of what they would like to see or what they were thinking about regarding this kind of pilot. Some of the foundational questions are, and I kind of put them on there. Why would we do this? Right? I mean, what is the purpose for this? Because I think the purpose guides how it rolls out. Making sure that we reinforce a positive rather than a punitive kind of idea. Now, the purpose, for me, as I've mentioned, one of those primary purposes is how do I facilitate making sure that a certified person is in front of kids every single day. That's a goal that I have for myself. We're going to spend that $300,000. So whether I give it to, whether I give it to you or I give it to a sub, that's kind of up to the individual. right? And what that looks like. And so that's probably that's probably a key for me. You know, trying to understand how do we. There are some things that we need to think about, like how do we handle bereavement? How do we handle jury duty? How do we handle these kinds of things? So I guess I'm throwing that out there for some discussion on what that might look like and what we need to kind of keep in mind or consider if we want to start something in January.
Do you have any programs in mind, or have you seen any programs? You're talking about a program, I mean, are you basing this off of what somebody else is doing, or are you just?
I know that there are attendance incentive programs, or whatever you want to call it, that are being run across the state. Farmington has one. There are a couple other school districts. They are like Farmington's, I think the last I knew. Now they may not be doing it anymore, but the last conversation I had about it was last year, and they were paying theirs out by the month, right? A certain amount every month if you were if you attended every day that month. I'm probably more interested in more like a lump sum kind of thing, where we articulate. So I think there's a lot of discussion, like, is it realistic to say that the people who are getting it have perfect attendance, right? Is that realistic? Is it realistic to say, okay, if we can cut that by, to 2 days, teachers being out no more than 2 days per semester in this, because we're thinking about a semester right now. I think, again, I think you can do something for a year that might be a little different, but right now I'm just trying to think about what that would look like for a semester. What's the dollar amount, right? That sort of depends on, here's a conversation we had earlier, is there a gatekeeper, right? Does everybody qualify on the beginning? Right. There were some conversations about we have employees in the district that don't have any more sick days. They've used all their sick days. Right. We have employees in the district that are docked 4 days because they've used more than what they have. Right. Or whatever reason that looks like. So there was some conversation on is that a gatekeeper? What does that look like? And so, no, I don't have a particular model in place. What I can tell you is I have set aside about $100,000 for this pilot program, knowing that if I'm successful, not me, but if we're successful with this, then I should be paying ESS $99,000 less, right?
So like with I'm just wondering, at Farmington, do they have someone that decides what, I'm thinking about if you go to professional development, if you, like you said, bereavement or stuff like that, where they decide what counts and what doesn't count?
I don't know, but that's what I'm asking us to do.
Right.
So if I had to think about it, I think let's just take bereavement, because I think that one's the easiest one, because that one's dealt with in policy. Mm-hmm. You don't have to burn it. You get bereavement days, up to 3 bereavement days. Why do we get them? To attend the funeral, right? There has been a couple of questions on, someone in my family died, do I get my 3 days, right? Not necessarily. It's 3 days. The policy says up to 3 days to attend the funeral. So let's say somebody was going, somebody passed away and they had to go from here to Mississippi to the funeral, and it's the funeral's on a Friday or whatever you want to call it, right? Okay, maybe I need a day to get down there, a day. So that's 2 days. Does that count against me in the attendance incentive? Well, I would think no, because it already says in policy you get those days and they don't come out of your sick leave, right?
I guess I'm thinking from like a monetary standpoint, you're still having to pay that money to the sub.
I
Like,
am, that's true.
kind of what and that's what I'm
That's where
thinking.
the
right.
other 200,000,
Yeah.
99,000.
So,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm wondering.
and so I'll give you another one too. We just passed the Parental
Right.
Leave Act, right? That's 12 weeks. Well, the policies, the state law says that we can't count that against, the state law says mothers, but we're looking at it as parental leave because there are some other things that I don't want to get caught on there. But long story short, I'm still paying a sub for 12 weeks. And yet, I don't think by law, I don't think those days can count, right? So
Would it
you
fall
could,
under FMLA?
huh?
Would it fall under FMLA?
It could, but again, that's different because all FMLA guarantees is that you can't be fired.
Yeah.
You're not gonna lose your job, right? You still, if you're on FMLA for any other reason other than parenting, right? Then those sick days are still being charged to you, right?
Right. And we couldn't jury duty would have to be one that didn't count also because
Yeah.
the state requires you to go if you.
I think there's some conversations to be had about that one,
Like what?
honestly, based on our
You
policies.
think? I wonder. I wonder is what would your, how could it not count? Is what I would think.
Well, that was a conversation we had with classified. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm pretty sure that right now they're counted as personal days.
Oh, I had to go to jury duty and I didn't use personal days.
You did?
Yeah, like
Okay.
2 years ago I did, and which I just went one day and then they ended up not doing the trial or whatever. But I only had to use, I didn't have to use any. So that was 2 years ago, so I don't know. But
Yeah, because our absentee slip, doesn't it
it
have?
has jury duty
Yeah.
as a specific.
Yeah, it does.
So.
But that doesn't, it also has personal days, and because
Right.
it's on there doesn't mean it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I don't
count.
want to use my personal day that I've earned by being at
Yeah.
work to do something that the state says, hey,
Yeah.
you've got to show up,
Yeah.
so.
I do wonder, I don't know that it's been a long time since I've been to jury duty. One time I remember being called to court. It wasn't as a juror, but it was as someone who had to give,
A witness.
testimony or whatever. They wrote me a check for $41. You can't, you can't get a check for $41 and your paycheck,
Right.
right? So that's where I think that might come into conflict, right? Because the state is, I don't know. I didn't refuse my $41 check,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if you can, but I can't double dip, right? I can't take the $41 and take my contract, unless it's a sick day or a personal day, then you can get paid for that.
So now, if someone goes to jury duty, do we pretty much just not pay them for that day? Is that what you're
That's what I think,
Okay.
but I'd have to go back to Julie and ask her if that's what if that's what's going
And that might
on.
have been what happened to me, and I just didn't notice it, so I don't know. But I know, I definitely
Did
didn't
you
get
get a
dogged.
check?
I didn't get a check, but we were dismissing the case, but they still called us, and we still had to go. But they ended up dismissing us that day. But I already had, what I mean.
And so it could be maybe that
Yeah.
the day that you're called,
Right.
whether you're chosen or not, you may not get a check for that day.
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't know.
that
Right.
day would be
I think that is
excused
the deal.
here,
Maybe.
but then if they choose you, then that's
Then,
where the $41, or whatever.
Like I said, that was a long time ago. They may not do that anymore.
They do pay you. I know they
Okay.
do still pay you, but I don't know how much it is. It's definitely not our daily rate of pay, I'm sure. So that's the
Our
only,
daily rate is a whole
that's the
lot more
only
than
thing.
$41.
They're also a lot easier now about getting out of it too.
They are.
I just went a
Especially
couple
if you're
years ago and they would not let me out,
Oh,
even
really?
though I was a teacher and I needed to be in my classroom.
I know I was asking.
And it was like semester test
Oh,
time.
dang.
I was
see, they
asked to
did,
make a
but they
phone
did
call.
May. I
Oh,
did,
see?
yeah, I've done that
I
twice.
think Derek last time got me on it.
Yeah, I've done that twice,
Well,
yeah.
we'll just have you call them if
I mean, that's.
There you go.
Derek
It worked,
Weston
it worked that
called.
time,
That's
I'll just
right,
say
yeah,
that.
it worked,
It worked
okay.
that time.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
So maybe we shouldn't, so maybe we should count it against them, is what.
I mean, it's something, I mean, that's something we can,
Maybe there should, so when I looked at this earlier, I kind of looked to see if there was other, I asked ChatGPT, I said, ChatGPT, what should we do? And then they kind of think, the computer, they thought maybe do like a committee of sorts, like an attendance committee of sorts, that someone that decides if it counts or not, like someone else other than us that decides if it counts or not. That might be something.
That have their own like they would
Yeah,
have
would
their
have their
own
own
set of
policies. Yeah,
procedures that they go
exactly.
through.
And then, because I think every situation is specific to that person too. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like my sick day might be different than your sick day. And so it's hard to decide like what should be. And so I think maybe that could be something that could be.
Perhaps have a set of specific criteria.
Yes.
And then if they want to
Fight it.
discuss
per se.
it,
Yes,
fight it per
yes,
se,
yeah.
then have it go to committee.
Right.
Because that way people have the specific
Exactly.
criteria on the front end.
Right.
So they know what to expect. But, in specific situations
Yeah.
like that,
Or
they
there's
could
special
go.
situations. Yeah, exactly. So I think that could.
But if it's a policy we're making, we are the policy
Right.
committee, so
Yeah.
we have to do that.
well, I think you got a couple of things going on there, right? I mean, it's, is the decision, if you will, cut and dry, right? Like, these are the absences that if you're sick, or if you're not there because it's a you sick day, then you're not there because it's a you sick day, right? And so you got that going on. And is somebody going to be put in a position to say, well, your you sick day is more or less valuable than this person's because of whatever, right? The classic example, whenever I've had these conversations, the classic example is, I'm a single parent, I don't have anybody around, I need to stay home when I need to stay home. I do want, when I hear that, I also think, well, okay, just because I'm married doesn't mean it's not an imposition for me or my wife to have to, and so, I mean, you got that going on, right? Here's the other thing, and we talked about this morning, is everybody has parents, right? Many of us are in the time of life where we're either taking care of kids or we're taking care of parents or both,
Yeah.
right? And taking care of an ailing parent can be just as taxing as taking care of an ailing 10-year-old, maybe more, right? I mean, I just so I think there are those kinds of things that are a reality for everyone, right? And so I do wonder, right, if there's a system that's set up, my basic belief is everyone, like, if I don't come to work, then I believe I have a legitimate reason not to come to work, right? And I believe everybody believes they have a legitimate reason when they don't come to work. Now, it may not be like, are we then saying, well, we're going to substitute my judgment for yours, or the committee's judgment for that person? The comfortable part of the policy is a policy says this is what counts and this is what doesn't, and can you write the policy to allow for certain things? You can, but you have to allow it in all those instances.
So if we don't make it cut and dry, there's gonna be people wanting to be like, well, what about this? And I need it because I'm whatever.
That's the thing with professional leave too, because like you can choose to go to professional development, and there's some professional developments that you don't choose, like that you get signed up for. You know what I mean? So like,
I would say if it's school
Yeah.
required, they sent us, we're still working, so
Yeah.
that day doesn't
And that's,
count.
I would agree, right? If your principal or, me or a supervisor for a classified position says, thou shalt go to
Right.
the co-op,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going, you know, I'm still I'm still exercising my role, I'm just exercising my role somewhere else. Now that does, I mean, now where you get into that balancing of, the whole purpose of a policy like this is to ensure that teachers are in front of kids, right? Or secretaries are in the building, or paras are in the classroom. And at the same time, we also know that there are those instances where adult learning has to happen.
So that's what I wrote on mine, to use the staff to make sure a certified person or classified person is with the students as much as possible. Because sometimes we are required to go to whatever. I have an I wonder, once we get all of our ducks in a row about this, is it going to be like our sick days? You know, if you've got this many to this many sick days left, you get this many personal days. So are we gonna do it only if you didn't miss any days, you get this much. If you missed 2 for the semester, you get this much. If you missed 3 to 4, maybe a small amount, and then after 4, nothing. You know, are we looking at something like that, or are we just wanting to do the?
Well, I'm open, right? We did have some conversations this morning in classified PPC about what would it look like if you tie those to the number of personal days earned, right? Because that's already in policy. You know, we also talked about, there are some things that I think might be valuable to take a look at if we were just talking about like an August start date, right, at the beginning of the year, where, you know, I wonder about a gatekeeper, right? We kind of talked about I wonder about a gatekeeper, because one of the things that I think, like in this district, let me back up. What are the advantages to having 120 sick days? Right? I mean, that's an employee who has been here for a while, right? At least 12 years, who hasn't used a single day, right? And we have a few of those who have a lot of those sick days. So what's the advantage to those folks to hold, you know, in essence, hold on to those? Because you can only sell those back once, right, at retirement. And so you know, when you get to that point, it's almost like, well, I mean, I could see the mentality of, I'm almost better off to just burn the day, right? Because I've got 120 of them,
You can't even
right?
sell them all back
Right,
if you're a
that's-
certain number. So then that puts someone that's not certified in your classroom.
So you know,
We're about to retire, say that.
maybe there's a gatekeeper where, you know, you don't become eligible until, you know, you collect 50, 100, I don't know, I'm making up numbers at this point, 75 days, right? You think about it, it sounds like a lot. From my standpoint, on this side of my career, it's only 5 years. It's 5 years, right? If you don't burn any of them, that's 50. So the incentive for the first, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years might be just to get to the point where you have access to the stipend or the bonus, right? And then maybe you have a tiered structure after that, where if you carry over, you know, 50 or 60, you hit this point. If you carry that way, it's a built-in reward, if you will. The more days I choose not to use, the more I get, and it's another way to incentivize and reward our teachers who have experience and who have been in the classroom every single day for the, you know.
I think some people will see like 50 days as too hard to reach, and they're just gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna not be there that day because I'm never gonna get to 50.
There's no way I'm gonna go 5 years without my kids getting sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say you're on
Whatever, you
strike
know.
for 4
Yeah.
years, and then all of a sudden you get COVID and you're bedridden in the hospital,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, I had a good 4 years,
Yeah.
and so I start all over. It's kind
And
of
two,
tough.
if you talk,
Well-
if you only tie it to sick days, then that all of that talk we just had about jury duty, about professional leave, that goes out the window. So like that just doesn't count against them at all. Which I'm not saying it should, but I'm just saying like that it's not taken into account either. So like I'm specifically thinking about people who go like they sign up to go to, and me being the people, to go sign up to go to a professional development, and then they miss that day because they signed up to go to it. Like that is something I think to talk about. You know what I mean? Like they sign up to be a lead teacher or whatever, and then they have to go to whatever to be a lead teacher. So I think
Yeah, I wonder if that's, because I think the idea that your, principal, supervisor, whoever is sending you could be,
Right.
Miss Hudson, I want you to go,
Right.
right? It also could be you going to Christian going, hey, I really would like to do this, is that something you'd support?
Right.
And then him saying yes.
Right.
I think the end result
It's
should
the
be
same.
the same.
Okay. That's
Right?
Yeah, I just didn't know that.
The only, like, the place where I would see that would be different, and of course this is just, I think this is probably just my style maybe, is if you said, hey, I wanna go do this activity, whatever it is, and someone said, yeah, I'm not gonna stop you from going, but I'm not gonna pay you for the day, right? All of a sudden, then I think that does count because,
Right.
So I feel like this is gonna take a few meetings to work the kinks out and like, I don't remember who suggested if we wanted to come up with a different committee to come up with all the policies and then bring it to us and us, decide what needs to stay, what needs to go and revamp it.
Could always be getting feedback from people in our building. Because, I mean, we
Maybe we
represent
should do
them.
that.
Well, and last year you brought up we get 10 days, and then any of those days that you don't use at the end of the school year, you would pay us for.
that was an
talked
idea,
about
that was one of the
that's
ideas
the
we
idea.
talked about.
I mean, and that one just seems
Easier.
That seems pretty easy.
Is that one though that we can start in
I
the
don't know if you can
spring?
start it in the
See, that's
spring
what
or
I was
what.
looking,
Yeah, I mean, you still could, and then just do, I'd just do 5. I mean, just say if you
Yeah.
bring, if you have
Yeah, I
5
guess
or
you could
more,
do
or
5.
whatever, you
Because we
get
get-
this amount of money.
Yeah.
So
how
And
do we,
you said it over, if you have extra
yeah,
that you carry over, those are not counted in the
Right.
10.
yeah.
how do we deal with the individual who, I've already burned 8 of my days.
Right.
Right, is that just, it is what it is?
I think
Yeah.
that's kind
I
of
mean,
part
I
of
think it
this.
is.
Yeah,
it
is what it is.
So we're at the end of the first 9
I'm part of
I
it.
know.
Use
Yeah.
right.
They're probably not gonna make it through the end of the year. but
Yeah.
that's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be an
I mean, really, 8 at this point in the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll probably have that too. No, I'm just kidding.
Unless it was
But-
like
I mean, yeah.
an emergency,
Be
catastrophic,
a
FMLA.
situation.
I mean, and then there's, people having surgery. I mean,
Yeah.
I had surgery right at the beginning of the year,
Right.
but that's just my luck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I think that's part of the piloting of it all is like, yes, there's some things that won't be in effect of the next time, but I think we can do it for this time and just say that it's because it's the first time that we're doing it.
Yeah, I think
And if you
stressing
do
that
it-
it's a pilot is important.
Yeah.
Do it this year, at least they know
Okay,
next year.
Yes, yeah.
For the whole
Okay.
entire year.
And I think it
Because
goes
it,
ahead.
it might change their way of
Yes.
thinking
Yeah.
of the way they take their days.
Yes, yeah, I think so too.
I think that does sound the simplest.
They too.
Okay.
But I still agree that these professional leave shouldn't count in there. Bereavement maybe shouldn't count.
Right.
I mean,
mean, I
it
still
says
feel-
approved,
Blurry.
Right,
approved
I mean-
absences.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
if they're
the important key
approved,
there.
then I feel like it shouldn't count against those
Yeah.
10. Because we're not using those 10 anyways, taking
And
Taking
I mean,
it
I
out.
was under the effect with FMLA, you have to use all your sick time anyway, with FMLA.
You
Is that
do.
true? Okay, so
Yeah.
I mean, that shouldn't even, I don't know.
You have
if
to do
needs
that
happen.
with,
Oh, okay.
now that
Silly
they
guy.
changed it.
Ask Jack.
Right.
Okay.
Not anymore. You get your maternity leave, you get 12 weeks. So before, like when I was having kids,
Yeah,
I had to save them all up and then get docked pay.
yeah.
No, yeah, I had to use all of my sick days
Yeah.
and then
So
you
with the
could
maternity
get.
leave, do you have to use all your sick time before you get the
That's
12
what we
weeks
were
maternity
talking
leave?
about.
Oh, okay,
No.
you don't have to, you don't have to.
No, so that, see, that just doesn't apply,
Yeah, so I
so.
don't think, yeah, I think it should.
No, you don't.
So I say just.
What are you
don't
thinking
count
of the
that.
pay? I know last year it was like $150 a day.
Yeah, well, okay, so right now I'm thinking, I don't know, I have to run the numbers, because I have allocated about 100,000, right? So if it worked perfectly, then it should cost me 150,000, because that would be half of what we send to ESS. But, you know, it won't, so it's gonna be somewhere, you know, 150 would be in that rate of getting to the 150. I've got 2/3 of that, so I mean, I don't want to be held to this, and it's being recorded. But, I mean, I'm thinking it's probably looking at like I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 100, 125 maybe. I don't know. I
What do
mean,
subs get paid? I don't even know what they get paid.
well, in essence, we pay ESS around $100, I believe.
And then they pay the
But it really
subs.
depends on what. Well, it depends on whether or not that sub is certified. It depends on whether or not
Right.
they have a. So
So like an uncertified sub, she'll get what, $75 a day?
13 years ago was 60 here
Yeah, I
in
think it's like
this school, so it's gotta come up some.
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Based on some of this conversation about like needing or thinking that we ought to have this committee, are we being too ambitious? Am I being too ambitious to try to do something by January?
I think if we just base it on the sick days
Mhm.
right now,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we could do it. But, and then maybe, we will find a kink, I'm sure. That's like something
And that's
that's
why we're calling
gonna
it a
go into
pilot.
it, yeah, and just call it a pilot and just say, okay. And then we can decide if we need the committee, if we think, or if we
Or if
think
it's
maybe there won't be that many
something
kinks.
That
yeah,
we can handle
yeah.
within just.
I feel like the
Yeah.
PPC is what should
Right.
handle it myself.
I agree,
So.
especially if we're not gonna factor in like special circumstances
Yes.
and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, there's
That
always
it
gonna
should
be
be.
special
Yeah,
circumstances.
that's the
Right.
thing.
Like
yeah.
you said, in my opinion, hey, this is a special circumstance, but in yours, it may not be.
Right,
So
okay.
if you just keep it cut and dry, sick
But
day, sick
approved,
day.
Black and white.
approved
Yeah.
absences.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. Well, that gives me a place to start. My intention is, I'll send you something based on kind of what I put together. Y'all take a look at it. Send me feedback. At the very least, we'll talk about it again when we do this retention and recruitment piece. Okay? Any questions? Anything else you want to talk about?
You want us to come back in about 10 days?
Yeah, let me look at the calendar. I guess I got mine right here.
10 days from today, not counting today, would be the 11th.
That's Veterans Day.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I know it was, I mean, like last year we said Wednesdays seem to work well. Do we have a day that's, like if we, I mean, yeah, it's the 11th, being Veterans Day, but like we could go, do you want to go back, do we want to try to do Wednesdays?
I'm fine
On
with
those
Wednesday.
Wednesdays.
On a Wednesday.
So, can we say the 12th? Okay, I'll send out something for November 12th. And then we will revisit the retention and recruitment and the attendance pilot at that time. All right? All right, I just need, if there's nothing else, need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll say it.
All right. Meeting.